hello folks now, and welcome to another episode of the Pirate Round. I'm Captain Scotchbus here, and this be the Scotch Raven. And the first thing we'd like to do is welcome you here to our show. After a long hiatus, we've been enjoying the tropical breezes, as you can see. And first thing we're going to do is pour out a toast to you, our friends, and welcome you to our show, and thank you for joining us.
And we're back from being back in time.
Right, back from being back in time. Time travelers we are.
Fighting the Viking hordes.
Right.
Sipping on a little mead.
Sipped on a little mead, which of course is always enjoyable. And so we say to you now, folks, thank you so much for being here. We welcome you. Thank you so much, friends. Welcome to this episode of the Pirate Round. Yar har.
Yar har. Oh, that Jamaican Mountain Red is so good.
So, folks, you might notice there's a bit of a crew change here on our ship. And what happened there a day ago while we were ashore is we've had a bit of a crew change, and there was a vote amongst the crew, and now we have a new captain and a new officer corps. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce our new captain, and that is El Berger,
El Tejon.
or in Spanish it'd be El Tejon. He is our new captain, so El Tejon, captain of the Smiling Badger. He changed his ship's name too, Smiling Badger. And then we have gunner's mate Growler right there, and of course we have Bill G, and he's our bilge rat, and Pie, she's our pie
Who
rat.
were part of the revote. They
Right.
decided that the previous captains weren't doing the job
Right,
that they...
yeah. The previous officer corps weren't doing the job that they should. Now, right in front of and Squatch there in the big straw hat, there is our
Former captain.
our former captain, Captain
Bartholomew
Bartholomew Roberts, and of course we have Polly. But then we also have our very special guest, Snuggles, who is our quartermaster, and she's right there, and she's got the quartermaster's hat on. So we welcome our new crew,
And of course Squatch, she's got his monolith cap.
no, Squatch has got the monmouth cap. Okay,
Right,
I
right.
see. Yep. And the straw hat there, that is Bartholomew Roberts. So we welcome our new crew and our new officer corps, and we hope you will too. So
There
that's
was a certain French pirate
oh
who
yeah,
was on the crew who instigated...
that's true. Now it's not quite a mutiny. It's more of like a voting the officer corps out and replacing them with more effective officer corps.
Right, which was quite common in the Golden Age of Piracy.
You better
Pirates,
believe it.
You know, their crews were, their captains and the quartermaster were voted in and out, and
True.
if you weren't doing a very good job or you weren't appeasing the crew, then you could easily be disposed, and it happened quite often.
Oh yeah. The best way to describe a pirate ship at that time, especially a pirate ship there in the Indies, under a crew of a European crew, was sort of like an anarchy just getting ready to slide into a democracy. Because they put votes to just about everything. What they were to do, who would be the new captain, who'd be the new quartermaster, where they would go, what ships they would attack.
Like new boatsman's mate.
Exactly. And they wanted to make sure that everyone had a say in running the ship, which sometimes led to a great deal of indecision, but also led to much happier crews and less rebellious crews. If they were able to depose a tyrannical captain, which happened quite often, or a captain who wasn't particularly effective, well, then they would often break up and go their own ways in their own ships, or take over a ship and go off in another direction, and that happened quite often.
Right, Benjamin Hornigold, who we all know, who ended up becoming a pirate hunter,
True.
who originally Edward Thatch, aka Blackbeard, sailed under, and actually Sam Bellamy and Pelsgrave
Yep.
Williams.
Yep.
Both of those revoted Hornigold out.
True.
And Bellamy took the better ship and sailed away.
Yep.
And Thatch ended up staying with Hornigold at the time. And Pelsgrave Williams went
Yep.
with Sam Bellamy.
Yep.
Now Sam, ended up becoming quite rich and successful in his own right, but then ended up having a very short career.
True.
Ended up shipwrecked and then, of course, died.
Yep.
Now, what would have happened, later on in life if he hadn't produced? Possibly he would have been voted out.
Could be.
Then we have Charles Vane, who
Right.
had the infamy, the being voted out twice.
He was voted out twice. Once when he couldn't deliver, or they accused him of cowardice actually, and they deposed him in favor of Jack Rackham, who became his quartermaster. Now eventually they captured some ships and split and went their own ways. Vane got himself another ship and another crew, and went out cruising again. And again he was accused of cowardice. But then this time his crew marooned him on a little spit of island.
Right.
And luckily for Vane, or unluckily as the story goes, he was rescued. However, the ship that rescued him, there was a seaman aboard who had recognized him because he had been a victim of Charles Vane's piracy in the past. And then Vane was taken aboard the ship and later hanged by authorities.
Right.
So being deposed could sometimes mean that you revert to an officer class position in the crew, or you went your own way with your own ship, or perhaps you ended up getting hanged for it. So the instance that we talked about before with Hornigold took place where Hornigold did not want to attack English ships.
Right.
And his idea was that as long as he could maintain the fiction of being a privateer, he wouldn't fall into the shadow of being an actual pirate.
Right.
Now, of course, his other captains, because this was a flotilla of about 4 or 5 ships that they were organizing, his other captains wanted to take all ships. They wanted to be enemies of everyone, and Hornigold wouldn't have it. So when they went to the vote, Black Sam went one direction, Palsgrave Williams went another, Hornigold went another. And then of course you have Hornigold eventually becoming a pirate hunter.
Right. And of course, Blackbeard. Nobody ever thinks Blackbeard.
Oh man.
But Blackbeard twice was almost opposed. And
Right.
it actually probably led to the basically scuttling of Queen Anne's Revenge. Because when you have a ship of Queen Anne's Revenge size and a crew of 150 plus men, the lack of food and the lack of drink and the lack of good prizes, the crew's going to turn against you.
True.
And since he couldn't feed and care for them, he decided to get rid of that ship and go to a smaller ship.
Yep.
Which actually split off, ended up Steve Bonnet getting back his ship. True. And leading Stead to becoming captured and home.
Yeah. One of the things that I think people don't realize is there's always this idea that Blackbeard ran his crew with an iron hand. Now, that's not the case. He was under the rules also of deposition, meaning that his crew could depose him at any time and remove him from captaincy if he didn't perform or if he didn't deliver the goods, so to speak, or take enough ships. And so I believe he said the first time he was almost deposed, they were sailing about near the Yucatan, and he hadn't captured a ship in quite a while, and they wanted him to leave and head back to the port, and he narrowly avoided being voted out that time.
He came across the L'Auconcourt and became a good prize.
Yep, that was a good prize, the L'Auconcourt, a big ship. And then the second time, I think, was right after they had blockaded Charleston Harbor.
Yes.
And I think that his crew was probably pretty tired of sitting around and waiting for things to happen, and I think they wanted to take some prizes. Blackbeard probably had another agenda that maybe we're not quite sure of yet, or sure of right now, but he had another agenda, and so he decided to break off from his crew.
Of course, there's the famous story of William Kidd, who was not wanting to be a pirate, but his crew pretty much forced him.
Yeah. They pretty much said, you're either a captain of us as a pirate crew, or you're either marooned on an island or you're dead. And so he wisely chose, wisely or unwisely, depending, because he ended up in the noose. He wisely chose life in that time period.
Right. And of course, the quartermaster was another one that was voted in.
True.
And Rackham was a quartermaster of Vane, and when they voted and deposed Vane, of course Rackham became the captain of the crew.
Yeah. There's a general idea that Jack Rackham was this incompetent pirate who couldn't do anything, and it really, his rather sad capture and demise, in many ways, sort of, buoys up that kind of a belief that he was an incompetent captain and such. But keep in mind, he was voted quartermaster twice. And a quartermaster had quite a few duties aboard ship. He had to make sure that the ship ran well. He had to make sure the ship, he had to take care of all the cargo. He had to take care of all the armaments. He had to make sure the men were actually fed, that they were paid, that the ship was in good running order, that it was sailing where it was supposed to be, that the sailing master was doing a good job. So essentially, he was the CEO of the ship, except during chase and combat, where the captain was the leader of the ship. And so if he was completely incompetent and couldn't find his ass with both hands and a lantern, somehow I have this idea that that's not quite true.
You also have to remember that, you know, there's people that will say he's the worst pirate ever, but really he wasn't. You take somebody who snuck into Nassau and stole one of the fastest sloops sailing at the time.
True.
And
True.
And got away with it. You know,
Yeah.
and then kept a crew happy with 2 women on board.
True.
You know, you couldn't have been a bad, horrible captain. Yeah, he may not have gotten the amount of treasure that some others got.
True.
But then again, he was at the tail end of the Golden Age of Piracy in 1720s.
Yeah, and you could argue that with his demise and a few other famous captains' demise, that was the end of the Golden Age of Piracy.
Right.
Well,
this is a rather shorter edition. If
Yeah.
you notice, we're kind of in cooler weather.
well, it's cool, warm weather gear here. It's rather hot. We're trying to stay cool. We wanted to introduce you to our new crew and talk about crew voting and dispositions aboard the ship. And
Pirate ships were very fickle. You could change at a drop of a hat.
they could. The crew can, the crew could change according to whether there was enough food aboard, whether there was enough prizes they had taken, whether there was enough liquor.
You could almost say the same about regular ships, the royal ships. A good example of that was Henry VIII, who was an officer and led a mutiny, which led to them stealing a ship and sailing away and him becoming captain.
Yep, that's true.
So today's episode is brought to you by 7 Fathoms Beneath the Sea rum
Grog.
drink. Rum drink.
There you go, folks. Well, we thank you for watching our episode today. And we hope you enjoyed it. And we hope everyone is doing well this time now. It's a very difficult time for everyone. I hope everyone's taking care of each other and taking care of their families and their loved ones.
And the crew.
And their crew. And I hope our spirits are buoyed up. Maintain the dignity of the ship. Maintain the dignity of the crew. Don't be frightened. Don't let anyone grind you underneath their boot heel, folks, because you know what? You be a pirate, and you don't have to take shite from anyone. And so from myself, Captain Scaltopus here, and Scarlet Raven, we say to you, thank you for watching this episode. Like, share, and subscribe our show, and we appreciate your attention. We say to you now, fair sailing and yar har.
Oh, and always be yourself.
Always be a pirate.
Yar har and smooth sailing.
Yar har. Arr. So what'd you make this with?
7 Fathoms.
Oh. Tastes almost like whiskey in there. Oh well.
All right. 3, 2, 1.